Kringle on pole alongside him, Andy Marriott, then Toby Glenn and Mark Cheetham, and it's go for the first race, and Mark Kringle on the outside there from pole position. The white crash actor just trying to run around the outside of Coppice, but it's not going to work for him because Toby Glenn just nips between and is first up the hill into Charlie's. This long right-hander that leads onto Park Straight, the fastest part of the course here at Cadwell. Down they go, down the hill, then it's uphill into Chris Curve, then around the long right-hander and back into the top of the gooseneck, which is where they come now. It's this heel over to the left and then a really steep descent down towards Mansfield. Mansfield is a stand on the brakes job, and for the brave, you can maybe be able to sneak around the outside, but from Mansfield they exit and run down into the chicane of the S's, and then the bottom of the mountain leading over the crest and up towards us now, down into the infamous Hall Bends, this series of left, right, left bends in the woods at Cadwell Park before dropping down into Barn Corner. And when they turn around Barn Corner, they come back towards us to complete a lap, and here they come streaming across the grid and the start-finish line, and almost immediately into the hard left of Coppice, which provides great overtaking opportunities, and it is Toby Glenn that leads from Mark Cheetham. Mark Kringle from that pole position running in third place. It looked like Tim Venables in fourth, just ahead of Scott Roadbottom. In fact, there are the leading five there running down Park Straight. So an excellent start for Toby Glenn. Toby, who at Donington, the first round of the Triumphs, didn't even get a lap in. He had a problem in the warm-up session and he broke his right wrist, so he didn't get to play at all, and very disappointed he was. He's had a lot of work and he only had the plaster off on this Wednesday, but look at him now leading his race. In fact, a foot off the peg there as he just gets on the anchors and up the mountain he runs. There we see Scott Roadbottom with the blue wheels in fourth place. Scott, I think, from just across the border in Yorkshire, but Cadwell is very much his local circuit and been very impressive so far this weekend, but he's having to trail at the moment. Mark Kringle, the pole sitter, still in third place. And Toby Glenn, this is a fantastic performance by young Toby. As I say, unlike the others, this really is the start of his season after that wrist injury, and he's showing, and my goodness me, you have to give the old right wrist, gets a bit of a battering around here at Cadwell Park, a very tight, twisty circuit, but showing that he's not, well, apparently feeling the pain of that. And Mark Cheetham tucked in behind him. Mark, of course, the leading TDG Cup runner for the riders 25 years and older, but it's the under 25 Michelin Young Gun. Toby Glenn who leads, and Tim Venables up into second place. And look at this, number 9 Reese Rothwell joining in the fun at the front, so we've got half a dozen for it. I tell you what, not too far behind. We could end up with 7 or 8 of them. Here they come. Still Toby Glenn leads. Then it is Tim Venables. He's ahead of Mark Cheetham. Then it's Mark Kringle, Scott Roadbottom and Reese Rothwell. And it's they're almost past quicker than it takes to say their names. Up the mountain they come into Hall Bends. And there, Reese Rothwell, only a Super Teen just a season or so ago. He's having great fun on board this Triumph, and he has come to play. Now look at this, Tim Venables lining up Toby Glenn as they exit Barn Corner, and he looks as though he'll have the inside line at Coppice. Coppice is a very sharp left-hander and uphill, but Toby Glenn just chops across his bows. No, not yet, Tim. You just stay back there, mate. Toby absolutely determined not just to score good points, but maximum if he can, having lost out at Donington. But Tim Venables wants the maximum as well, and he's got up alongside Toby Glenn, and he's going to get him. He does at the top of the gooseneck. He leads, and look at this group. The 6 has been joined. There are 7, 8 of them now, because Andy Marriott looks as though he's attached himself to the back of the group, and Josh Wainwright's not that far back either, and Tim Venables exits the chicane, and there up into second goes Mark Kringle. So Toby Glenn losing out another place there, and that 6 has definitely become 7. I'll tell you what, in a few moments it will definitely be 8. There there we see young Mr. Wainwright. He looks like he's not going to miss out on fun like this, is he? Through all bends he goes. Meanwhile, further back, we see Ricky Chadwick. Ricky, of course, the reigning champion of the older riders, having won the championship last year, but he's a bit battered and bruised this weekend, so not so far up the field. But look at the leaders now. Genuinely is 8 of them for it, and it's a change at the front. Mark Kringle just nips ahead, so Tim Venables pushed back to second place. There's Toby Glenn in third. He's ahead of Mark Cheetham, and Scott Rowbottom's right in there as well. Then it's Rhys Rothwell and Josh Wainwright. Whoa, anybody want a piece of grass? No, Tim, you stay on board. Here they come, down through Hall Bends, and there, look at Josh Wainwright. He's very keen to get the nose of that bike right in the middle of the trouble ahead. And there we see, further back, Ralph Turco being followed by Shane Pearce, and that's Alex Beckers there, the young Latvian. I think his older brother races as well, but up the front, Mark Kringle, ahead of Tim Venables, and a little bit of chopping and changing in that group. Still Josh Wainwright keeping a watching brief at the back, and there we see Ralph again with Shane and Alex. They are chasing up over the top of the hill at Charlie's as the leaders come down through the gooseneck. And Mark Kringle, well, he started on pole position. He's leading at the moment. But Tim Venables right there in second, chasing hard. Scott Rowbottom up into third. And look at Rhys Rothwell. He's going for a dive up the inside as they reach the bottom of the mountain. Oh, and it's all gone wrong. He slid off over there on the grass to the right. So that's our group of 8 down to 7. And Josh Wainwright at the back there, chasing hard. He's in 7th place at the moment. Well, that's not going to last long. He's up to 6th. And, oh, well, poor old Rhys. Is he going to lift it? I don't think so. Maybe. Oh, no, he isn't. That's very difficult. Oh, no, he's, yes. And with the help of a bit of marshals, I hope they've had burgers for lunch. They got it up right. But, oh, poor old Rhys. That is his race run. Better luck later on. Meanwhile, Tim Venables hits the front. Kringle in second. And there is that Scott Rowbottom. It is diving underneath Mark Kringle. Scott Rowbottom up into second place. Is Toby Glenn now on the back of that little group? We've had 3 leaders of this race so far. Tim Venables was up the front, but look at Scott Rowbottom. He's just nipped by. Venables in second. Mark Kringle in third there as they run down into Mansfield, and they've got some slower bikes to deal with as well. So Scott Rowbottom leads then down towards the chicane. Oh, what's Scott? He's shaking his head. He's had a problem. Maybe he's just missed a gear there, and it's enough for Tim Venables. He just sticks it up the inside at the bottom of the mountain. And Venables now back to the front. Here he comes. That's it. Get it airborne. If you're not flying, you're not trying. There. Down to second place, Scott Rowbottom. But look at Toby Glenn. Toby's got up into third ahead of Mark Kringle. It's all change in the bunch, and it could there's plenty more to come. I tell you what, with this lot there, don't forget Josh Wainwright still making progress at the back of that bunch. But it's last lap time. There's the last lap flag, and Tim Venables leads across the line. We've had 4 different leaders in this race so far. And look at Scott Rowbottom. Oh, he's not going to do it. He tried up the inside through did Scott Rowbottom, but well, there further back we see another ex-Super Team. That's Stuart Mitchell. Just ahead of Lance Carey. But back in the front, well, Scott Rowbottom under severe pressure. Toby Glenn now taking a real dive up the inside, and he nips through, I think, into second place. I think he's made it his. We're going to have to wait and see as they come round. Yes, he is up into second. And look, there's Tim Venables. Looks like he's going to give it a bit of a dive going into the bottom of the mountain. And it's Mark Kringle ahead of Andy Marriott and Josh Wainwright still on the back of the group, but over the top they come. And Scott Rowbottom still leads, just a couple of corners to go, and Toby Glenn a brilliant second place just ahead of Tim Venables. And there we see Mark Cheetham just off the back of that group, but around the hairpin and barn they come. There's a green flag up there, and there's a couple of them gone missing, but it's checkered flag time. Scott Rowbottom takes the winner. What a happy Toby Glenn, finishing a brilliant second ahead of Tim Venables. But no, oh, there they are. That's Andy Marriott there, and Mark Kringle, championship leader coming into this weekend. Well, they had a coming together at the hairpin, but up the front, it's all smiles and handshakes.